I was There we go. We are now recording. So we will have this session as well available for you on demand. So all of your resources will live right here. This link is also in the chat. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I will forego the intro about me and really some great tips on things you can create in Canva that I covered in the first 14 minutes of that first session, which you can find at the bottom of the page. So please go back and watch those first 14 minutes. You'll find some really great tips on things you might not have thought about creating in Canva before. So Kim had a question, can we get a flyer template for all of these too? Absolutely, Kim. We will resize and make those available as a flyer as well. Perfect. Okay, we are jumping right in today. Also, something that was covered in that first session, but needs an extra shout out is everything that you do in Canva, you need to know your fonts and your colors. Those of you that joined me earlier this week heard me talk a lot about knowing your fonts and your colors, and I even demoed how to use these tools. So this is extremely, extremely important. I will put, you'll have access to these links and everything on the page, but if you have a logo for your department or a logo for your district, and you do not know what the exact colors are from that logo and the fonts, these two tools will help make it a lot easier for you. Okay. All righty. We're jumping in today because all of you that are on here have had experience in Canva. So these are intermediate to expert level tips. We're going to talk about color palettes. We're going to talk about font hacks, all the different things you can do with your fonts now, some general tips, some really helpful keyboard shortcuts. Some of these were even new to me as of recently. There's some things in Canva that didn't behave exactly how I would want, but these keyboard shortcuts make it easier. Publishing your content and the benefits to a pro account if you want one. A pro account is $120 a year. Really not that bad considering the benefits you're going to get, but I want people to know what is in there. I always encourage everyone to play with the free account as long as they can, see what value they can get out of that before they jump straight to paying. Okay, there's no sense in doing that at all. All righty, let's jump right on into Canva. All righty. There we go. So as I'm going to put this back in the chat too. This is the link to get your color palette. So look at your color palettes. You can explore new color palettes. And then you can even upload your own image all on Canva. So we're going to jump right into a design that was shared with me. We have quite a few that were shared, and I'm sorry I don't have the name of each person. Maybe you'll have it here for me. Christine shared this one. So everything that I show you, all these shortcuts and tips and tricks, we're just going to use designs that your members created in Canva, and we're just going to take it from where they started to just cleaning it up a little bit. Okay. So this image was shared with me. Let me also make sure that you know how to do that if you don't already. If you have a design that you are working on and you're just not really quite sure if you like it or not, use the share button right here and type in my email address, liz@clevelsocial.com, and you can share it with me, and then then I can manipulate it on my end and help you out. That's how I was able to get this. So we'll start with this one from Christine, and I'm going to edit it. Okay, so she has this in Spanish and English. Breakfast and lunch are free. This is a flyer, obviously. So it's no cost for all school meals throughout the year. Okay, so a couple of things, and we talked about this in the session earlier this week. We want to make sure we always only have 2 fonts per design. Otherwise, it can start to look a little busy. So I can see right here, you've got this font is CS Gordon, Eusebia, and Glacial Indifference. So I want to clean all of these up and make sure it'll just overall clean it up. But I don't want to mess with Christine's design. So what I'm going to do is there's a button right here to duplicate the page. So I'm going to duplicate the page and put this down to the bottom so you can toggle things up or down. We'll put this duplicate right here. I'll even change the title to Liz Edit so that she knows this is what I'm working on. Oh, is anybody else seeing that it's freezing up on them? My internet is strong. I've got full bars. If anybody else is seeing that I'm freezing up on anybody, please let me know. Okay, so first we've got, the one thing I like to do with fonts is see how there's like 2 wide lines and then school year is just down here kind of on its own. I like to pull those together. So do you see how that just looks a little bit cleaner instead of 2 full lines and 1 short line? Now we're going to have where it's just a little bit more pulled together and you've got words across both sides. Same with, I try to never have 1 word on the second line by itself. So favorites is on that line by itself. Try to not do that. So I would probably spell out and tried and true favorites. There we go. Okay. All right, featuring tried and true favorites, and she's got cereal muffins. Okay, make it your own. So another thing about having the fonts the same, or I'm sorry, having 2 fonts per is also all these headers, they should also be the same size. So this is 19.5 and that's 21.4. When you've got multiple fonts plus multiple sizes, even a little bit, it just looks a little messy. So let's just make it 20 across the board for all of these little subheaders. So see, I can move that around and that's 20. Okay, perfect. This is 21. That kind of stands on its own though. Okay. All right. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can work on this. So you see how there's some spacing, this space here between these lines is kind of unnecessary. Watch this. There's this button here called spacing, and there's letter spacing. Oops, sorry, not letter spacing. See, I had the undo button. There's undo. If I click this, there's line spacing. I can just pull that a little bit together. Do you see how that just looks a little bit cleaner versus here where the fonts are just taking up a lot of space? If you clean it up like that, you might even be able to make the fonts larger. If you're worried about it being, easy to read, you could even make it a little bit larger. They're 18 right now. I'll leave it there for right now and see how we feel about it. Okay. So I'm going to make this is the only place that Yesevia 1 is used. So we're not going to have a third font hanging out there for no reason. So I'm going to change that font to the Gordon Round and just make it smaller because it's a subheading. So let's try like 16. 16 is great. Okay. So same here, we've got 2 lines with long text and then these 2 random words. Let's clean this up a little bit. So can do like that. And I'm also going to change the line spacing and pull these together a little bit. So you see there's a number here. It says 1.05. I want my line spacing to be the same for everything. So this one, the line spacing was 1.04. So let me make this the same, 1.04. Okay. So now we're just cleaning this up again, and then I'm going to show you a side-by-side of these designs. All right. And again, you see how this is pretty wide, and it's kind of fighting this header a little bit. This is really big. Let's, if we want that larger, that's fine. Let's just pull these together a little bit. There we go. We've got more space to work with here. Let's see. I'm going to make this smaller. Oh, it's got extra spaces. Do you see that? It's just acting a little up. So we're going to There we go. There are extra spaces there. That's why the spacing was off. So we can center this. And when we center it, we can center it along this text box. Okay. Grab and go, easy and quick. IDs are not required to receive meals. Simply join the line. Okay. Please take advantage of this program to participate daily. We still have Glacial Indifference. That's the font we've been using all along. This is really close to that edge on both sides. So I could either, what I would probably do is say visit and do a line break. I'm going to press enter and center this. There we go. And it needs a comma for more information, visit. There's your website. So you see I had an extra space down there. You always want to clean that up, get rid of that little space because it allows us to center things properly. Okay. There's extra spaces down here, so we're cleaning that up too. All right. We're going to make sure this is all the same. Looks how this is smaller font than this one. We're going to make this all the same font size rather. 20 is too big. 16 is still too big. 12 might be just right. Got the little bears here. Additional snacks and beverages available for purchase. Okay. Now you see we've got some space here to work with even. Let's see. Because now we've got space here. It's actually given us a little bit of room here to work with. Okay. So I want to move all of this down because now we've got this space here. I can click and drag and select and move everything down. Well, okay, I'm trying to figure out how they designed this. I see what they did. They've got yellow boxes here. It's a yellow box. That's what that is. Okay. All right, now I'm seeing. Okay. So let me make this a little smaller and get that. Okay. Trying to make the original design work too. I don't want to change everything on her too much. So here's a little pro tip. So this image is like over here and then it cuts in. Let's flip it vertical. Now it might work a little bit more for our purposes. There we go. Okay. I probably wouldn't have used these I wouldn't have used these elements because I can't edit them. It's a similar question to what Katie had earlier is I can't make this square custom size. It is the size it is. I can only make it larger or smaller. I can't make it shorter or skinnier. So it's just a little difficult to work with, but that's okay. We're going to I want you to see some tips while we work in this design. Okay. The one thing I will say about working with elements, let's talk about these for a bit. These are all elements, right? We've got pizza and apple. These are all elements. This lunchbox here, which I honestly don't use lunchbox images very much because we don't want them bringing a lunchbox, right? So I don't use those to begin with, but look how this is like hand-drawn kind of design. And this is more like an icon of pizza. They look very, very different in style. And then this fruit box, just doesn't, this has like outlines. This has no outlines. This is clean lines. They don't really go together in style. So I try to not have images like that on the same design. It will also help for a cleaner design. Okay. So instead, I might look up, so this was lunch. I might look up under elements. I might look up maybe school lunch. I don't know if I'll get much there. And then I'm going to look for graphics. Here we go. This is perfect. Here's a lunch tray right here. Does everybody see the difference between how this lunch tray looks much more like it goes with this piece of pizza? than this right here. It just looks so different. Where do I find good pictures? Christine, I use Canva for pictures. I still have a Shutterstock account. I use Canva because I have the pro account. Shutterstock is really good, but it's not cheap. I think it's like $30 a month and you get 10 downloads. If you go to Shutterstock, you can use those images, royalty free. You don't have to, give them credit or anything for it. What I would do is I would get an account and be very specific about what you want to download what you want, and then cancel your account after like a month or two is what I would do. Because there aren't that many pictures of school lunches and things in that would work for your program. You know what there is? There's a lot of things of, quite honestly, they look like a school in Asia. It's all kids in a uniform, and it doesn't look at all like an American school. It doesn't look like your cafeteria. The stock photos, there's a few stock photos I liked that were a lunch tray, but I would highly recommend always recommend using your own. So I just don't think there's a lot of value on those kinds of sites like Shutterstock. And as far as food goes, if you want to use like produce or vegetables or anything like that, Canva's got plenty of that. So for the fruits and veggies, Canva's got you covered. For things like a lunch tray or kids in a cafeteria line, a Shutterstock has a little bit of things that you could use, but I canceled it because there's just not enough that I would feel comfortable using to represent a client, because it's not going to look like their cafeteria or their students. So yeah, glad you're liking the changes. So we've got this here that now goes along more with these icons. Okay. So let's scroll out a little bit. Okay. Got grab and go. Okay, additional beverages. So here's another thing. Down here, you have actual picture of an actual cookie and the top of like a Gatorade bottle. That doesn't match this. Those are different elements. They just look completely different. So I would try to find let's see, sports drink. I don't think Gatorade's going to be in here. Let's see if a sports drink is in here. There we go. So I would maybe do like one of these sports drink icons. These are I call these icons. I would maybe use that. So let's click this and delete it. And I'm going to need a cookie. That's a graphic. There's one right here. This looks great. A cookie. So now everything's just going to have the same kind of elements together. So delete that and slide him over here. I want this to be flipped. Let's flip that horizontal. Let's flip that one horizontal too, so they're not looking like they go together a little bit too much. Okay, perfect. Okay. I think these lines are still a little bit too close together, so I'm going to just pull them together just a tiny bit more. There we go. Now, a lot of the text is black, which is fine. This isn't extremely, there's a lot of yellow here. I'd love to pull in this blue some places. Let's see maybe where we could. Would the blue look good here? I think that might be the blue they used. That doesn't look good. You can't read that properly. So let's not use that. Might not be able to pull that blue in too much because of the yellow. That's okay though. The one thing that's missing here is your logo. We definitely want to see your logo, and we want to see this institution is an equal opportunity provider. So let's play around just a little bit more. You've got two headers here that kind of fight each other a little bit. They don't complement each other like all of these. We've got the two fonts, they complement each other. So if I changed this one, this is now that secondary. Let's see how that looks. We can make this larger. And I don't know if we talked about it last time. I know everybody has their reasons, but I feel kind of strongly about using the word free instead of meals at no cost, because free is very easy to understand. Free is very easy to understand. If you walk by a flyer and you see free versus you walk by a flyer and you see no cost, do you know what that means? So I know some people have, they have their reasons to choose it. I actually ran, making the spacing a little bit to pull it together. I actually ran some Facebook ads for a client she never wanted to use free ever. So we always said meals available at no cost. Then we ran the free one and it reached a ton more people for a lot less money. So it does resonate with people a little bit better. So remember before we had caps and caps. Now we have, this doesn't have to be all caps. So I hope that, let's see, I think I'm feeling a little bit better about the design now. We do want the logo, which you can add at a later time. I would probably just teeny tiny right here. It doesn't have to be a big deal. All right. Do you think there's a better image than a 5-tray compartment tray who uses that in high school? So that's, you are limited. I mean, if you're trying to find something that I had one, when I searched school lunch, there was this image that has an apple milk sandwich. That's still great. And it's the same kind of icons. So I would feel very comfortable using that. They have this one, but it's a yogurt bowl. Let me move it so you see position, move to front. That's how I can see it right in front. Is it representative of what you would serve? That's the only problem with these icons. I don't ever use a lunchbox. I never use it. I don't want them bringing their lunch boxes here, right? And there is a brown bag icon in here too. The brown bag, I guess I don't hate as much because there are times where you're having, your grab and go meals. So, I do use that every now and then, sparingly. Okay. So we have looked at using 2 fonts. We have looked at the line spacing, which I think line spacing alone just makes for such a cleaner design. And we've made sure that the line spacing is the same, that the font sizes are the same, and that all these icons are similar design across the board, okay? All righty. Yeah, so it looks like, Christine, you said you make it look easy. I have a hard time moving things on the page. What I do when I am designing something and I'm not quite sure or confident in what I'm doing, I do exactly what I did as my first step, is I duplicate the page and I start manipulating the second page so that I don't lose my work, because Canva auto saves everything. So you can play around on that second design, and then, you don't lose you can go back to your original design if you need it. Can you show how to add in a scan code for a website address? Absolutely. Okay. So we post this new design. So Christine or Mike, it looks like you were asking about this particular.
Yeah, that's me.
Oh yeah, it's in your
I'm
design.
sorry, yeah, I'm sorry. That was me, because we're sharing all of these. Will you be able to share that new one that you just did, than her original one?
It's in the original one. So when she goes to it, Christine goes to it, it's on her 3rd page now.
Oh, okay. So the new one is there. So it's up to Chris if she wants to share that one, you're saying, or are we sharing this one, Chris?
This was a design that she had specifically made for her district.
No, I know, Chris, are you there? I was saying, are we sharing these with everyone or no?
We can.
The things, okay.
No problem. We can share it with mine. I don't care. Yeah.
Well, I think it's a good place for people to start than having to recreate this, especially if you can put that scan in there now. This looks really great what you did.
But
I would.
But I have to email everybody, right? Or how would I share it with everyone? As a PDF, if they have like a PDF.
If you don't, I probably would have done a couple things differently on this design if I was to share it with the whole group. there's a lot of line, like these lines are all like handwritten and the icons are just a little like all around. I didn't want to mess with your design completely. I wanted it to be your design, but when I'm sharing stuff for the whole group to use, I keep it a little simpler so that they can have the freedom to have space for their logo and easily change like colors and stuff out. And with these little icons, it's not so easy to pop in and change your stuff. So if you don't mind, if everybody likes this, we can certainly take this and make it a template for everybody. We'll just do that from scratch. Okay, perfect. Just that way, because there's things like,
want to say if it's a good idea. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine. You'll see that like on the templates we made, we always left white space for you to add. This is one example why I would do it from scratch, is we left white space for you to add your logo so that it's easy. You know, your logo is going to look good on white versus like with this, you're putting it on yellow. Their logo might not look good on yellow. So we'll take this and just make it a little bit more user-friendly for everyone to use. Alrighty. Okay. Let's make sure I'm not missing anything. I do want to show how to put a QR code in. Okay, perfect. All right. So let's just say, and I'll duplicate this one more time, Christine, so that you have the QR code. I don't want to mess with how you might want to use it. So let's do this design is going to be, instead of having this for more information, visit us, instead you're going to have a QR code. Okay, so easy. We're going to copy the URL. We copied it, scroll all the way to the bottom and click more. And there's QR code. And to my knowledge, this is for the free accounts and the pro version. I don't believe that it's just a pro version thing. So there's your URL, you paste it, generate the code, and it popped right in there for us. No other website to use, nothing like that. It's just right there. So let's plug that over here. And then I'm going to put this text next to it. Might have to make the text a tiny bit smaller to get all that on one line. There's one extra space right there. We'll clean that up. Okay. All right. So that was it. You scroll all the way to bottom to more. This is where you'll see quite a few different apps and integrations that work with Canva. I haven't even played with all of these. I think Pexels and Pixabay might have additional icons and things as well. I haven't used it, but QR code is where I've started, and it's so easy. If you do not see this, or you want to, we lost the for more info to visit. So what I would do with this is what I do. I'm gonna show you my what I prefer to do is, you don't really want too much text, because think about it, like it's a flyer. And if it's hanging on a wall, are people gonna stop and read a lot? So I like to keep as little text as possible on a flyer. So this is what I would do. Under elements, you've got our shapes, all of the different shapes we might have. I like the rounded edges. Let me make it a different color. I'm going to make it that reddish color that's in here. Okay. Okay. This is the same red that's right there. Okay. I'm going to make it to be a border around my QR code. I'm going to position it to the back. So now I have this border around the QR code. If I want to select both of these elements, these are two elements. I've got the border and I've got a QR code. If I click Shift on my keyboard, Shift, and click on it, now it selects both of them. I can make them bigger or smaller. So I can do right there. And I want to put the word scan me. I just like scan or scan me and put that there. This is my little trick. I could go over to text. and I could say add a little text. Then I've got to change the text box to what text color I want. I got to do all this changing. Sometimes I grab something if I know I want this font and I just duplicate it. So I've already got the font I want, and there's Scan Me. And I would do that. For more info to visit, or, you know, I assume this might be going like for high schoolers. This is going to be like, they know what a QR code is. They don't need to know like, oh, sorry. They don't need to know like for more info visit. They know, oh, Scan Me. So that might, that's what I would do. And that's why I duplicated it, just in case that's not what you would prefer. But now we've got a QR code there. All right. So now let's, we've got, this is where we started. And I hope you see that the changes weren't major. I really kept the how the original design was, but we pulled this together. We don't have additional word, like just 1 or 2 words on a third line. We don't have 2 headers now that are almost this, those 2 headers are almost the same size, fight each other just a tiny bit. We have the same icons and everything across the board. Just cleaned it up a little bit to now this. Okay. I'm going to do one more change because I just want to see what it would look like. I'm going to duplicate it one more time. I would love to see what clean lines look like for this versus these are like wiggly, like hand-drawn lines. So I'm just going to delete these. I click them and delete on my keyboard or delete right here. And I'm just going to do regular rectangles just to see if that helps at all. Actually, now that I have this here, I would love to see, think about too, if you're printing this, that's like a lot of color. I don't know if that's a concern for you all, but I always think that, like, that's a lot of color we're using. Let me, let's play with lines instead. So grab and go, easy and quick, simply join the line. So I'm gonna just see if I just used lines, would that achieve the same effect? So there are dotted lines. This is a pretty busy flyer, so I'm not going to use dotted lines. A line, you can make it as long as you need, and you can also, here's the weight, you can make it as thick as you need. So I've got this, it's black. This will be my opportunity to bring that blue back that I like so much. So let's make it that pretty blue that's right here. And let's duplicate it. And then I'm just going to separate our sections with that. Duplicate. There we go. And how do I feel about that? So to me, this looks a little bit cleaner. It says outlines with the blue. Kelly mentioned outlines. I'm not sure what you mean with outlines with the blue. These are just lines. If you go to lines and shapes, I just inserted a line and then I made it blue. And it gave me the opportunity to take this blue and bring it all the way through the design because that blue was only right there. And I was like, oh gosh, let's use that blue somewhere else too. Probably, you know what I could do? Let's make it this red even. Maybe that will make me could even do that. So now we've just cleaned it up a little bit. When there's a lot of text and a lot of these elements, you just want to make it as clean as you can. Okay. So we'll make a version of this that would work for any district. That way you'll pop in here. You'll have to update your QR code. Don't forget. So you'll have to put your logo and your QR code. Okay. We'll make a version like that. Okay. So let me double check my cheat sheet here. It's actually been, has it already been 35 minutes? I'm so sorry, everybody. But I hope this has been helpful. Okay, I want to show you one thing. So let's say this is something I do when there's a lot of text, and I'm going to keep playing, Christine, in your design. You might get the whole hour in this one design, and I'm sorry. But this is a good example of it because, see, there's a lot of text on this. And this is a little trick I do. You could try this, but it does not always work very well. It's not terrible, but like the spacing there, cereal, muffins, pizza, it just doesn't look quite right. So this is what I do. This is a little trick. Okay. When you press enter and create a line break, you are over here and I press enter. So I've got a whole new line. When that happens, each line, I can change the size, I can change the font, I can change a lot with it because I pressed enter for a new line. If I didn't do that, like I didn't do that over here, watch what happens. If I tried to just change something here and I wanted it to be a different font, it changes everything. Do you see how like I only wanted that last line, but it changed the whole thing? So get to the end of your line, press enter and start a whole new line, and that will let you manipulate each line individually. So this is what I like to do. Go back up to my spacing. You know, y'all have learned I like spacing, and I just slightly make it a little bit bigger across, and so it spaces out each letter. So rather than huge spaces between words, because it was like a word, big space, a word, big space. Now we're just spacing it out a little bit. So I want you to see the difference. You guys are getting like into my brain right now. This is what I do when I'm designing something. I want you to see the difference after I do this. It's letter spacing. And I don't bother with this every time, but when it's a busy design with a lot of fonts, I do. This is a little different because these are 3 separate lines that have 3 separate messages. So I have to do enter. I have to do enter. I have to do enter again. So participate is my widest one. This one's going to be a little, let's see how this one looks. It's tricky. You get a little bit too big and it goes into 2 lines. So you have to do it just right. Hope everybody's seeing that okay. Feel free to unmute yourself if you have any questions. Okay. I would also, this was my design, I'd also want this endless possibilities to be the same width as that, the header, the subtitle to be the same as the title. And I'd probably even do it here as well. And I want you to just look at it and I think you'll agree with me that it just looks a little bit cleaner. Does everybody see the difference between these two sections especially? And down here, when you're looking at that versus that, and you've got it justified on both sides. That's our like next level tip. Okay, so I want to make sure I get through these list of things that I have here. New line, space. Okay, curved font. That's something new. Something that if you're working in a design that's got a circle, maybe you want, maybe you have this. And actually, let me make sure everybody knows how to group things. If I select this, you had this X over it. You don't need this ID. If I select both of the items, I can click Shift and click. I can group them together. We talked about that. I wanted to say ID is not required. Okay, ID is not required. So I no longer need that here. I'm gonna instead, just for purposes of demoing, I don't know that I would stick with this permanently, but no ID required. Oops. Because required is a big word. Okay. I love that they finally added this feature to Canva. I used to do it manually and it was such a pain. Go to Effects and Curve, and you can curve text. So now you've got no ID required. Let's add an exclamation at the end of that. Didn't know if everybody knew that the curve option was there. I love it. No ID required. So then I've got this. I can make this text even larger to stand out, or I could even pull this additional snacks and beverages. I could pull this up here now because I've freed up some space for me. And you don't want, it's a challenge that I think every marketer, which you're all content creators now, everybody struggles with. I have to get every single thing on this flyer. We want to tell them everything, but we have to make sure that they're absorbing it. So if this was a flyer that was going to be hung in the high school cafeteria, if it was me, I would have 3 flyers. This looks like it was probably something that would be shared with parents, or maybe it's inserted into, it's given out at open house or whatever. But if it's something you were going to, hang up, I wouldn't hang up something this busy. I would take each of these pieces and make it its own flyer and have those up in multiple places. So we can now select that and make that bigger. Grab and go, join the line. No ID required. Okay. All of our text is black, which is fine. But if we, let's just say that orange or whatever was in their color palette, we wanted to bring that orange back. That's a little too light. We could have, if everything was black, that's okay. If I was going to change the colors though, I would make it, I would just do it maybe on the headlines, or do it every other, I think the orange and the red kind of fight each other a tiny bit. So I'm gonna leave it black. Okay. Also, there's an all caps button. You saw that, you might not have seen that it was there, but it was used. This right here, this is the Gordon Round. If you have this button is uppercase, it will automatically, oh, Gordon Round is already uppercase, never mind. The glacial indifference. I can just click on it. There's an uppercase button that will make everything all caps or lower. Really nice. It does it for the whole text box. Okay. Want to get to some general tips. Let's talk about the icons. If any questions, just let me know. We're actually closing in on 15 minutes. You really could spend so much time in Canva. You really could. So let's just say I looked up apple and I went to the graphics section and I'm looking up apples and I'm making a little collage of fruits and stuff. Remember earlier I talked about how we want the icons to all look similar. For some, it doesn't happen all the time, but keep an eye out. If you clicked this apple, there's magic recommendations. This most likely is probably with the pro account. If you see them, these are all designs made, usually made by the same designer, or usually have the same similar look. It's not foolproof. Like, for example, there is broccoli here that has outlines. It's black outline, and this has no outline, so they don't really match. But for the most part, it's very helpful. The magic recommendations help you kind of keep a streamlined look. Oh, I don't think we talked about this last time, but it's definitely worth repeating. I've heard from people, and it hurts my heart. It really does when I share about Canva and then someone says, I tried Canva, but I just did not like it. And I'm like, what? Why didn't you like it? They tried it, the app only. I personally hate the app. The app is not user friendly. I rarely use the app except for this one little hack. The uploads folder where you can upload your own images. Look, we've got sushi for a client in Texas. She's got sushi here that she's going to be selling. You got your images that you're going to work with, right? Let's just say I just took a picture. I'm at the cafeteria. I'm in the lunchroom. I took a picture of the lunch and I want to use this in Canva. I can take this picture and I could email it to myself. And then I'm coming to my computer where I use Canva all the time because it's more user-friendly. I could go to my email, download it, then come over here and click upload. I could do all that. If you have a Mac, I think there might be some syncing that might be a little bit easier, Mac and an iPhone. But instead, when you go to the Canva app and you go to the home screen, or actually, Yeah, if you go to the, I mean, you're on the app. If you go to the menu on the right, there isn't the uploads. So you can literally upload the photos right from your phone if that's where you're taking the pictures from your phone. And I put my uploads here, come over here, refresh my page, and the upload's right there in my folder. So it's the only time I use the app is for pictures that are on my phone that I want to get in Canva quickly. Just upload them directly on the Canva app. Otherwise, throw the app away. Okay. Use the app, leave. Okay. If you are working with other team members and you're working on something and you want to alert their attention to something or say, hey, what do you think about this? You're not familiar. If you didn't realize, there is a comment box. If you select any piece of your design, there's a comment and you can say, hey, what do you think of this? Or please approve or whatever. This is kind of helpful when you're working with teams, I think. You can also, I don't know how new this is to Canva, but let's just say you, like Christine loves this flyer. She wants to keep it, on file somewhere so that next, semester, if things change, she can tweak a couple things, but she wants to save it as a template so that it will stay, she'll have that saved as a template. If you click the 3 dots up here and see all, where is it? Did I lose it there? No, it's here somewhere. Thought there was template. Let me Google or search. Hold on. Where did it go? Could have sworn there was make a template. Anyway, I'll skip that. There should be a way to do it. Maybe if it's under download, no. So skip that one. I said duplicate a page if you're stuck on a design. We've got keyboard shortcuts. Okay, let me share a couple more. I'm gonna cut the keyboard shortcuts. I can always put those on your page and share those easily. So animate. Animate is an option on Canva. If you click this, you can see all these options. Yeah, it looks really great initially, but if you're using this online anywhere, on social media in particular, if you are to take this animation and you download it like a video, you download it and you upload it to social media, it loops and it keeps looping. So nobody can read that if it's going to continue to keep looping on them. So this is my advice. If you use animation, use it on a very simple design with not a lot of text. Please have fun with the animation. It can be fun. And also keep that more on Instagram if you're on social media. Facebook has, it'll still play it, for 5 seconds. Facebook doesn't love 5-second videos. Instagram loves 5-second videos. So if you're playing with the animation, just be prepared wherever you post it, wherever you're publishing it, just see, is it looping a lot and can people read it? I've seen some people, not in school nutrition, but other people use animation and I can't read what they did. If this is a PDF, which it's, okay, so let me get rid. If you click on that and you can do none, the animation went away. So let's just say this flyer is going to go somewhere on the district website and you want to go ahead and put that link. You could put a link on the PDF. If it's a PDF, you can put a clickable link in it. And that is right up here. And maybe it's disappeared like the other one. Let's see. Website. No, it's not it. Why am I losing things today? Present. I know there's a way to do it. And if it's not, I'll put it on the site. Don't worry. I'll have to find that later because I did see it earlier. Let's share link. Okay. There is a way to put clickable links in PDFs though. Okay. And then a couple other benefits of the Pro and some benefits of the Pro account. And then I want to have time for more questions. If you love this flyer and you want to put it on your digital signage, you want to put it in a PowerPoint presentation or on social media, there is the resize option. So we could resize, let's just say we wanted to use it in a PowerPoint presentation for presentation to the board. You search for whatever it is you want to resize to Facebook, whatever you want to resize it to. There's all these different templates. You check the box, copy and resize. It's not perfect, but it does so much work for you. Okay, so now my canvas is now that size. So what I'm going to do is come in here and I'm going to start just tweaking, moving things around. Click, move stuff. And now I've got this, all the same content, all the same elements. And now I can, make them bigger, smaller. And now I can work with the same stuff, but in a PowerPoint presentation. Okay. That's the biggest thing I love about it. If you're on social media, there is Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I will be honest, I used to resize everything, but on Twitter, it actually looks better for Facebook formatted. So just to keep it simple, if you're on social media, just use a Facebook post. Use that on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It'll look great on all 3 platforms, and it's less work for you. And it's not worth your time resizing for this teeny thing, and it looks great on Twitter. So just use Facebook posts for all of them. One thing that I like about I'll actually show you what we're using currently right now. A member of my team is working on it for a client, that sushi picture, making a flyer about the sushi. This is something I love about the pro account is the background remover. So she sent these pictures and it's on a table. It's not the greatest, I don't background, I don't want that. So you click on it and click effects, and there's background remover, and it removes the background all around your image. It's not perfect. It doesn't work 100% every time, but look at that. It did work this time. So now I've got this picture of sushi. I can do that. I can rotate it, turn it a little side, and say, all right, we've got California rolls now. So that is after you put a picture in. Let's try it with a person. Sometimes it works pretty good with a person too. This is likely a meet the team post. That's probably not the best picture for a person. We'll try it though. Sometimes it works very, very well. You do background remover. There she is. Oh, look at that. Let's get rid of that sushi roll. Now we got a member of the team. We can do a picture and use her picture and make a design using her picture. Look at that. And access to overall for the pro account, access to more fonts and more pictures. When you go to photos and you're looking at, you want fruit pictures, you have that little crown. It means it's pro. There's just so much more stock photography that you have access to. It would be much more cost efficient for you to just pay the $120 a year for the pro account on Canva than to have Shutterstock and have to go try to find these things and bring your Shutterstock images over to your Canva. That's the overwhelmingly same with graphics, these elements. There's so many more elements to the pro account. We have 5 minutes left, and I think somebody's unmuted. Questions?
I have a question about searching for free versus pro icons and pictures. Do you just have to scroll through, or can you filter that out to just show free?
It's funny you ask that. I'll put that with the keyboard hacks, and I'll put the keyboard hacks on your page, because I saw where they had a code where you would put a code up here and it would only search the free. And actually, let me see if they fix that. And the code didn't work for me. Okay, no. So if you click here is this filter, you can do just free. So I did Apple. There's this little filter option, and you could just do free.
Awesome, thank you.
Also, similarly, you're welcome. If you were doing, like I said, there was an animated, you want something animated. There's also animated or static, meaning it's going to stay still. You could also look for that. Thank you. Great question. Should have mentioned it. So what we have right now for you are, I'll show you the templates. There's instructions on how to use the templates, but we're going to add, we have created 5. We're going to create 5 more. I really wanted to have conversations with everyone and have these sessions to see if there were more ideas. We'll take Christine's design and make it a template. We'll also make these flyers. Right now, these are sized for social media. But when you have these templates, click on the name. And it's because I'm logged in. Katie and I had this problem earlier. Let's see if any of them work that way, Katie. Katie was, here we go. What should happen is you should come in here, you click on it, and it should pop up like this, and you should have a little pencil icon down here in the bottom corner. Click that and use template. And this is so key, everybody. If you just so everybody, I know you got your second monitor open and you're looking at something else, but stop right here. When you did that, use template, your image says copy of free meal announcement. I want everything when you work in this, it needs to say copy of, because that means you're not editing the original template. If you started editing something that did not say copy of, you're likely editing the original template. We don't want that. If it happens, it's okay. I've got backups, but we really want to avoid that. So make sure it says copy of. If you open it and it looks like this and it doesn't say copy of, and you're like, I want to use this, very simple. File, make a copy. And you see right up here, it says copy of. And now it's yours to do what you would like with it. Like I said, we put this computer here so that it's, hey, we need your meal benefits to be submitted. Click the link provided, or, you can insert a QR code. You could put the QR code right here, or you could put your district logo here. We wanted some white space for you to work with. I don't see any additional questions coming in right now. We are at 2 minutes. I'm so sorry I hope that this was extremely helpful, but there's always so much you could talk about with it. I'll put the keyboard shortcuts on your page. I think those will be very helpful. Just things to just make it a little more user-friendly is really what it is. Thank you, Kim. I'm glad you're able, and thank you for the suggestion on the flyers. We'll get the flyers up. This recording also will be on the page. At the very, very bottom is where I'm putting these videos, these training videos. Just scroll all the way to the bottom. That was our beginner session. If you weren't with us, watch the first 15 minutes of that. I think you'll find a good amount of value in that first 15 minutes. And yes, Kim, I'll notify everyone that this recording's up and the flyers as well. All right. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. Hope you have an amazing weekend. And I'm here if you have any questions at all. That's part of this, our partnership is that on-demand help with Canva. So just let us know. And thank you all so much for joining me.